we are going to go through how to position. We're going to start now. We're going to go through the positions for postural drainage, percussion, vibration. We're going to start with the positions for postural drainage. Postural drainage is all about just using gravity to help us move secretions from the smaller airways to the larger airways. So when we position a patient for the upper lobes of the lung, we're actually going to have the patient sitting up at a 45-degree angle. Let's use this one for now. For the upper lobes, because we know that our upper lungs sit above where our main primary bronchi are. So our primary bronchi, our main bronchi comes down from the trachea and then it forks off into a right or left highway, and the upper lobe of the lung sits well above that. So for the upper lobe of the lung anterior, I'm just going to have you lay down. We're just going to have the patient positioned with their head up. And then this is the only part you have to memorize. Kind of annoying. But because the angles of the main bronchi go into the primary bronchi, the angles of the primary bronchi go into the trachea, because they're different, we have a different position for the right and left upper lobe. So if we're doing both upper lobes, it's at this 45-degree angle. If we're doing just the left upper lobe, I'm going to take the pillows out. Is it okay if I take this out? Okay. I'm going to drop her down to a 30-degree angle, and I'm going to lift the left shoulder up towards the ceiling because I want to use gravity to help drain the mucus. So the side you're targeting, if you're only targeting one side, should always be up. All right, and then for the right, that's your right side. Let's do this. There's your left side. Sorry, she's turning away from the camera, but you guys get the idea. And then we're gonna bring this pillow out. And for the right side, you're gonna be flat. And then you're just gonna bring this shoulder up. So these are the postural drainage positions for the upper lobes. It's the only ones you have to memorize because it's the only ones that change and it's the only ones that aren't head down. So everything else, middle and lower lobe, you're putting your patient in the head down position. And then you're tilting up the segment you want towards the ceiling. So we're gonna do the same thing to the posterior side. So I'm just gonna have you flip over on your stomach. I'm gonna have to put the pillows back. Okay. So for the bilateral upper posterior lobes, you want the patient at the 45-degree angle. And then for the left lobe, I'm going to bring you down to 30 degrees. And I'm going to tilt this side towards the ceiling. That's your right side again. Why am I doing this backwards? Okay, this is your left side this time. Okay. So left side, she's at 30 degrees. And then for the right side, we're going to take this out. Switch the pillow under the right arm. There you go. So it's the same anterior to posterior, it's just whether the patient's in prone or supine. So both is 45, left is 30, right is flat. Okay, so everything else is going to be head down. So what I'm gonna do is bring you up onto all fours. And I'm gonna have you kind of lay over this thing with your head down, with this under your hips. Just get your hips up on top of this. The biggest thing for these positions is that the hips are above the head. When we say head down tilt, like it's not just like this person's hips are down here and they've got like a mountain under their abdomen. You want the hips to definitely be angled above the head. Amount of angle doesn't matter as much with these as they did with the upper lobes. But for the posterior middle lobes and lower lobes, you're basically just putting the person in the head down position and then rotating the segment you want to target up towards the ceiling. Without you falling off the... I'm good. You sure? Okay. So if I'm targeting the middle lobe, I'm just doing percussion up here. I'm targeting the lower lobe, I'm doing it down here. It's the same position. I'm tilting the involved segment towards the ceiling and I'm targeting either the middle or lower lobe. So this is the posterior. And then I can just have her flip over to do the anterior. So the head goes down. I would just bend your knees up because we want your hips. I'm going to shoot this down just a little bit. Want your hips higher. I'm going to have you bridge one more time. Okay, and so you can be creative with this. Sorry, it's not sliding very easily under here. There you go. Okay, you can be creative with this in someone's house. If you don't have a wedge, you can use all pillows. You don't have to have a wedge. With a kid, you can put them on a physio ball. You can put them on your mom's legs. You can hang them upside down from their feet because they think it's funny and swing them around. As long as the hips are above the head, we're good. And then, so this would be bilateral, middle or lower lobes, and then just to shift to one side or the other to target the anterior lower lobe or the anterior middle lobe. Okay, now that doesn't look super comfortable. Is that comfortable? I'd probably bring your hands down. Okay, do you need another pillow under your head? Okay, let's try that. Okay, and then when you turn to your side, you can just hug the pillow. You probably want to get all the way over on your side, even though it's anterior, because that's going to be more comfortable for you. I'm just going to target the anterior segment. Okay, does that feel better? Mm-hmm. Okay. You'd want the patient to be able to lay like this for a good 15 to 20 minutes if you're doing a treatment session. When my daughter had pneumonia, I wanted her involved lung to drain overnight. So I put her in a side-lying position with her head down because she had lower lobe pneumonia. So her left lung was involved. Her left lung would be towards the ceiling in a head down position. So while she slept, she got some of that postural drainage benefit. All right, so you saw me kind of percussing a little bit. We're going to use a cupped hand and trap air behind our hand when we're targeting each of the segments. So you're in the perfect position right now for the right upper lobe, which is going to be here. Okay. So I'm going to have you turn a little bit. Yep, and then bring your arm down a little bit. And then I'm just going to use a cupped hand. And I'm going to go over this segment. Some people will use two hands. So you usually do 5 to 10 minutes of the percussion, and then you want them to huff and cough. So I'm going to have you breathe in, and as he breathes out, I'm going to have him huff, and I'm going to provide a little vibration to his chest wall to help move the secretions. So go ahead and breathe in, and huff out. Okay, breathe in, and then huff out. Okay, you can do anything from a slight vibration to like full shaking of your hands as long as it's not a baby or a child. We don't want to do the shaking with a baby or a child. But you use the same technique based on the findings of your auscultation. So in your practical checkout, your patient will say, okay, you did auscultation and I have consolidation in my right lower lobe. So then you're going to come over here and you're going to get the wedge. And you're going to put the patient head down. So we're going to put this under your hips. Hips are the important part, right? Hips want to be higher than head. Are you comfortable enough?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Are you able to rotate and lay on your left side?
Fully on left?
Whatever's comfortable. You don't have to be fully on your left because we're doing the anterior lower lobe. You can give him a pillow to hug. And then I'm going to target this area for 5 to 10 minutes. You want it to be loud. You want to be able to hear like that because it's air getting trapped underneath my hand. And then at the end of 5 to 10 minutes, breathe in, huff out. I'm going to go through 2 cycles of this. Breathe in, huff out, and then I'm going to have him huff and cough. So breathe in, and then huff and cough if you can. Now, if you can bring anything up during the treatment session, you certainly can cough. So I'm going to have a basin available and tell the patient if you feel like you need to cough during the session, you can cough. So those are the postural drainage positions.